Hey, all you SERFA goers out there, you surfers. Buddy Mondlock here. I'm going to play some songs for you for the next hour. This is my virtual guerrilla showcase. It's at, 5 in the afternoon instead of 5 in the evening for you East Coasters. Or 5 in the morning, actually, if we were live. I mean, I might be playing it then. Anyway, I hope we do get to be live next year. Really looking forward to seeing you guys all again in person and giving you a big hug. So I'm going to start out with, I'm going to start out by swallowing my cough drop. There we go. This is a song I wrote with my friend Jim Tullio, and this is called Nobody Knows Nothing. Nobody knows nothing, nobody figured it out. Nobody knows nothing, nobody knows what it's all about. Everything you see around here's for sale. Everyone's telling you the check's in the mail. Preacher, teacher, and president, it's what they say, really what they meant. You hope it is, 'cause it's already spent. It's gone. Nobody knows nothing, nobody figured it out. Nobody knows nothing, nobody knows what it's all about. God made the world in 7 days. Big Bang came along and blew it all away. Newton, Einstein, and Polderak, the quantum farmer's almanac. You think it's real, then it fades to black. It's gone. Long, long gone. It's gone. Long, long gone. Nobody knows nothing, nobody figured it out. Nobody knows nothing, nobody knows what it's all about. All you got when you're a kid here is TNA. All you leave behind is what you do and say. In between it's crazy aids, when to jump and when to wait. It all comes down to love and faith. It's gone. Long, long gone. It's gone. Long, long gone. Nobody knows nothing. Nobody knows nothing. Nobody knows nothing. Nobody knows nothing. I'm told it sounds good. If you're watching, you might leave a note in the chat there in the comments. Let me know where you're watching from. And say hello. I'm going to play one that I wrote with Richard Berman, my good pal in Massachusetts, in Amherst. We wrote this song about the furthest east point in the United States, which is up in Maine. It's called Quoddy Point. There's a lighthouse there. as soon as we saw the lighthouse, we sort of felt obligated as folk singers to then write a song about it. We were especially curious, in our imaginations anyways, to think about who would be the very first ones to greet the new day, because that's, for us, in the continental United States, that's where our day would begin, where the sun would come up first. So here it is. This is called Quoddy Point. It's dawn here at Quoddy Point from the lighthouse keeper's chair. Through the window I can see the rocks, two figures sitting there. Young lovers, that would be my guess. Perhaps they spent the night out here at Quoddy Point to be the first to see the light. The first sliver cracks the morning open, all the promise of the day. Two long shadows form behind them, while two young lovers look the other way. I brought my Sarah to this place when both of us were young. She turned and kissed me on those rocks in the first rays of the sun. I had a picture from that morn. She's wrapped up in my coat. I finally had to take it down. There comes a time you just let go. The first sliver cracks the morning open, and there's all the promise of the day. Two long shadows form behind them, while two young lovers look the other way. I brought my Sarah to this. I brought my Sarah to this place when both of us were young. She turned and kissed me on those rocks in the first rays of the sun. Don't know why I kept this job when she left me here alone. My loneliness befriended me, and this remains my home. It's true the day begins right here, but just as true the night. So good luck to you, young lovers, so says the keeper of the light. The first sliver cracks the morning open, and there's all the promise of the day. Two long shadows form behind them, two young lovers look the other way. Well, we'll stay on the East Coast but move a little bit south here for this song. This one is called New Jersey Sunset, and it's about a guy whose ambition exceeded his talent by a dangerous amount. Jersey sunset. You place a small bet. You get your feet wet, and then it's gone. The blue of twilight, the yellow street light, the flash of insight, and then it's gone. Back in the corporate corridors, they just mopped up the floors with guys like you. So shooting the moon held no small appeal. You thought the gun was real. Who knew? You wanted family, thought you could climb that tree. The things you might see from up that high, but there's no long view, because the trunk will do for wise guys like you. Now wave bye-bye. Certainly sainted don't treat you nice. They put your soul on ice and steal your boots. Cecil Mill pulls up in his car, hands you a big cigar, and shoots. Thought you were street smart. You drew a faint heart, went for a clean start, but took too long. The blue of twilight, the yellow street light, the flash of insight, and then it's gone. A couple years ago, the Belfast-Nashville Folk Festival came to Nashville. They try and do this every year. Of course, they didn't do it last year. I think they probably didn't even have the festival, except maybe virtually last year. But they were here in person a couple years ago, and that's a festival I've played at a couple of times. And I took the opportunity to meet a couple of the songwriters they brought with them. And one of them was Simon Murphy, and he's from Belfast. We're near there. And he and I just hit it off. So a couple of months later, when he came to town, we wrote this song together. It's called Her Own Way. He just walked out the door. There was no slam, no rush of air, no pressure wave, just an absence there. She's rooted to the floor, like she'll never move again from here. Still the last kiss was sour like beer. So what was all this for? He bent the truth with a welding torch, sang drunken songs on her front porch. Her mother hated him, of course. Now we're getting somewhere. She feels like she was raised by wolves, wearing sheep's clothing, part of the flock. The good shepherd led her round the clock. Now she's breaking all the rules, doing pot and yoga and belly dancing. 27 and still no ring, and dating drunken fools, throwing her heart off a bridge. Hell of a way to learn to swim. Truth is she's a pretty good kid, just finding her own way. So he's just walked out the door. There was no slam, no rush of air, just a window opening somewhere. I feel really fortunate to be living here in Nashville. There's so many great songwriters here, great musicians, of course, too, but tons of great songwriters, and I've been lucky enough to make friends with a few of them whose work I really respect, and this guy's one of them. I wrote this song with Dana Cooper. He's one of the first people I met here 30 years ago. But it took us a while to get around to writing a song together. It's called If You Will. I'll walk away, call it a day, if you will. Leave it at noon, I'll turn and go, if you will, if you will. If you jump off a cliff, I'll jump off too. Never had much sense when it comes to you. It's true, looks pretty deep. I'll make the leap, if you will. I'll see it through. I'll be a fool, if you will. Monkey's uncle, I don't care. I'll climb up in that tree if you are there. So there, I'll grow up and face the facts, if you will. If you, but I will always have your back, if you will have mine and said, let's rest our heads, let's go to bed. I'll go to bed if you will. I like that one. This one I wrote all by myself. Up at Lamb's Retreat up in Michigan. John Lamb runs this really cool songwriting retreat. Thursday night he gives... Well, the way we kind of consume our pop stars here, sometimes we don't encourage their best habits. We encourage their worst habits, and it's not very good for them. But it makes a lot of publicity and sells records, doesn't it? The song's kind of about that. Filament. Spotlight couldn't put her down, she burned brighter. Radio tubes couldn't hold her sound, she burned brighter. Stars just fell in the river and drowned, she burned brighter. That was me in the wings, couldn't see that a filament is a fragile thing. She had talent from an early age. The little girl who sang everyone off the stage. She got groomed and she got signed. Did she mind? Thought to ask her at the time, but the spotlight couldn't pin her down, she burned brighter. Radio tubes couldn't hold her sound, she burned brighter. Stars just fell in the river and drowned, she burned brighter. That was me in the wings, couldn't see that a filament is a fragile thing. Two hit records and a world tour. A bad girl image, the artiste du jour. I got hired on to mind the road, make sure she showed. Everybody got what they were owed, but the spotlight couldn't pin her down, she burned brighter. Radio tubes couldn't hold her sound, she burned brighter. Stars just fell in the river and drowned, she burned brighter. That was me in the wings, couldn't see that a filament is a fragile thing. She came to me once in Amsterdam, makeup running, she just took my hand, kissed me hard and said my name. All that pain, looking for an eye in the hurricane. Stopped, she burned brighter. Flashbulbs flickered, fried and popped, she burned brighter. The sun came up and my heart dropped, she burned brighter. That was me in the wings, couldn't see that a filament is a fragile thing. A filament is a fragile thing. A filament is a fragile thing. let's see here. I think I'm going to do, this is an older tune I wrote with my pal Tom Kimmel. He's another one of those amazing songwriters I met in Nashville after I moved here, although he's down in Mississippi, I think, now. Yeah. This is called Poetic Justice. So I was not the one you wanted. You can see I'm reconciled. Must you be so disappointed? Can you not carry on in style? Is it too much to say we loved hard till the world fell back in place and left us where we are? I feel like the king when the queen loses faith and the crowd rushes in to tear down the gate, while the whole palace slept and I never rang the bell. Maybe that's poetic justice, but it's pretty hard to tell. When the fortune wheel is spinning, luck is fortune's dirty joke, and a player's chance of winning is diminished by his hope. Can't you laugh just to think of the gold we had running through our hands when we were on a roll? I feel like the king when the queen loses faith and the crowd rushes in to tear down the gate and declare what was mine I stole from someone else. Maybe that's poetic justice, but it's pretty hard to tell. It's hard to tell why the solid ground surprised us when we fell. It's hard to say it's life or death, or just so many bitter words beneath your breath. Is it too much to say we loved hard till the world fell back in place and left us where we are? I feel like the king when the queen loses faith and the crowd rushes in to tear down the gate, while the whole palace slept and I never rang the bell. Maybe that's poetic justice, but it's pretty hard to tell. I feel like the king when the queen loses hope and the crowd rushes in to praise the gallows pole and declare what they must do. I'm doing to myself, well, if that's poetic justice, how can anybody tell? Well, I started writing this song in the car, where I usually spend a lot of my time. I haven't spent as much time in the car this past year, but I'm looking forward to getting back in it and driving somewhere. And I'll be on, actually, Tuesday. I'm heading out for a little while. Going up to see my girl's sister and brother-in-law. Gonna meet them for the first time. And we'll be driving up I-81, which is coincidentally my most fertile interstate for songwriting. I wrote this song on there, or started it, after seeing a shooting star. And I had also been reading Hawking's Brief History of Time around that time, so a lot of that stuff crept in there too, but you'll figure it out. This is called The Principle of Uncertainty. Falling down the face of Virginia, a pebble drops through the liquid night. Falling down the face of Virginia, you see her as stop and pull off to the right. Somewhere in the distance, out beyond the cone of knowledge, out beyond the headlight, halo lies the woman that you seek. You may see her in the morning when you reach your destination. Then again, you may not see her till sometime next week. The principle of uncertainty is riding in your pocket, and the turning of the wheels, and the bones of your feet. The principle of uncertainty can sometimes be deceiving. Do not drift away on the windshield wipers beat. The principle of uncertainty is riding in the back seat. Falling down the face of Virginia, a pebble drops through the liquid night. Falling down the face of Virginia, you see a rest stop and pull off to the right. Thence comes part of light of fireways of probability and gravity are racing toward a meeting in the dark. Falling star, a moving car, carriers of beauty. One of them will burn out soon and one of them will park. The principle of uncertainty is riding in your pocket, and the turning of the spheres in a trail of brilliant heat. The principle of uncertainty can sometimes be deceiving. Do not drift away when fear whispers defeat. The principle of uncertainty is riding in the back seat. Past the horizon, there lies a woman, and through her window she sees a clearing sky. Just then a star falls, a thing of wonder. She thinks of you and smiles, doesn't know why. Falling down the face of Virginia, a pebble drops through the liquid night. Falling down the face of Virginia, you see a rest stop and pull off to the right. Drive careful, y'all. here's an older one. I wrote this about 2 years after I got to Nashville. And, I'd been writing songs like that last one, and of course that wasn't very country. And I finally wrote this one here, which had, 3 chords plus the relative minor, and I thought, that's country. And I brought it into my publisher and played it for him, and he said, "Oh, I like that. That's kind of folky, ain't it?" I'm like, all right, yes, I'm a folk singer. That's what I do. But a year after that, I ran into Jim Rooney, who was producing a new Nancy Griffith record. He'd already produced some of my favorite Nancy Griffith records, and she was coming back to him for, he said she was going to do a folk record, and was going to do songs by other people, not her own songs. And did I have anything? And I thought, well, I have this folk song here, apparently. And sure enough, she recorded it. This is on her Other Voices, Other Rooms album. This is called Coming Down in the Rain. Flipped into the wind like ashes of her cigarette. He got scattered and thin on the breeze as he tried to forget. He lost all his heat and his heart never will be the same. He got lighter than air, but he'll only come down in the rain. Strung out and hung out to dry, flapping under the line. It's not such a dignified place, but he really don't mind. He says with his feet on the ground, he'd have nothing to gain. Claims he likes it up there, but he'll only come down in the rain. Coming down in the rain, washing out of the sky, loaded down with that pain. There's just no way to fly. You can read him as clear as the wall where he once wrote his name. It was right next to hers, but it'll only come down in the rain. Burning himself out on a limb like a leaf in the fall. He blazed for a while, now he's feeling all dried up and small. Well, the color's all gone, disappeared near as quick as it came. He says he can stay up, but he'll only come down in the rain. Coming down in the rain, washing out of the sky, loaded down with that pain. There's just no way to fly. You can read him as clear as the wall where he once wrote his name. It was right next to hers, but it'll only come down in the rain. You can read him as clear as the wall where he once wrote his name. It was inside a heart that'll only come down in the rain. wrote this song to remind my brain to just shut up and go with it sometimes. It's called Magnolia Street. Was out thinking on my stoop, turning my brain to chicken soup. Was I in love or was I not? And did you love me back as much or not? Lot. Like on a scale of 1 to 10, did I love it up or were we subtracting? But the wind picked up my balance sheet and took it dancing down Magnolia Street. Old mockingbird lit on the fence, and he put in his 2 cents. He really let me have what for. He said, pick your lead line butt up off the porch. You thought yourself into a funk, going round and round with thoughts you already thunk. Go and collect your sweet petite and take her dancing down Magnolia Street. Just about then, you came strolling by like a godsend for this lonely guy. I was deep into my troubled bit. Was I nice to you? No, I blew it. Give me a chance to make things right, reading myself in my own sight. I'll take the lover's cross on up the hill, then push it off into the lover's landfill. We carry all this stuff around. We're not so deep, we're just weighted down. We should be nicer to our feet and take 'em dancing down Magnolia Street. So why don't you come with me, my sweet, and we'll go dancing down Magnolia Street. There we go. Well, I've had the honor the last couple years here of getting together every once in a while with veterans and writing songs with them. These are all folks who have been diagnosed with PTSD, and my pal Mac Bailey has this wonderful organization called Music Therapy the Rockies, and he sets these things up. There's other organizations doing similar stuff too. But I fell in with Mac because he called me, and yeah, it's really been an amazing experience for me. I hope it's been useful to them. But I've been really honored that they've been so open and honest with their stories. And this song is from one of those stories. I wrote this with Nick Tibbs, who served in Iraq. This is called Weak. Weak. Nobody wants to look weak, for death shall inherit the meek. I am the meanest ground pounder, downtowner, town downer. Weak. 16 weeks and 16 days, from boot camp to a pink case, where the staff sergeant used to be, as he waved us back from an ID. Where a mortar's just a random act, like a haircut or a joke you crack. No, I'm the one that kicks down doors. You kids there, get down on the floor. Weak. Nobody wants to look weak, for death shall inherit the meek. I am the meanest ground pounder, downtowner, town downer. Weak. Then they just rotate you home. You muster out, you're all alone. Your buddy got left in Iraq, and you're guilty 'cause you made it back. But the VA's gonna fix you up. Just swallow these pills in this cup. Back from the land of us and them, giving oxy out like M&Ms. Weak. Nobody wants to look weak, for death shall inherit the meek. I am the meanest ground pounder, downtowner, town downer. Is this a problem? No, man, no. I can handle it, I'm in control. I'm either high or I'm sick. Either way, I'm out of it. And if the oxy's getting thin, I can score some heroin. Then some cock kips down the door, and I'm the one who's on the floor. Nobody wants to look weak, for death shall inherit the meek. I am the meanest ground pounder, downtowner, town downer. Weak. Days in, then out on bail, rearrested back in jail. There's a program if you plead. There's what you want or what you need. Now I speak, I sit in the circle and speak, where nobody thinks I'm a freak, 'cause I'm not the only wall climber, less blinder, day at a time. I speak. I speak. How much time do I have left there? Oh, about 8 or 9 minutes. I'm going to do this one that I wrote with Guy Clark. Guy's my hero, and I met him at the Kerrville Folk Festival, and way back when he was hosting the open stage called Ballad Tree, and it was my first time there, and I just signed up at the Ballad Tree that day so I could shake Guy Clark's hand. And after the whole thing was over, after I'd played my song, he just walked right over me and asked for a tape. And I went and grabbed him one. Luckily, I had one with me, and a couple weeks later, I was back home in Chicago in my first apartment there, and my little message light was blinking when I came in the door and pressed play. Hey, buddy, this is Guy Clark in Nashville. I like that song and the other ones that were on there, and well, give me a call sometime. So when I got done doing backflips in the kitchen, I called him up. He answered, and we talked for a little bit, and he finally said, well, buddy, what do you want to do? I thought about it for just a second, and I said, well, Guy, I just want to keep playing music and try and make a living out of that somehow. And he said, okay, let's see if we can get you in the music business. And he proceeded to do just that. He started passing copies of that tape and other ones I sent him around to people he knew in Nashville. And the thing is, when Guy Clark gave you a tape, you listened to it. And it just changed everything for me. Within 2 years, I was driving down here. I had a publishing deal waiting for me. And everything was different after that. I owned so much. He didn't have anything to gain out of it. He just did it. This is the first song that he and I wrote together. This is called The Dark. In the dark, you can sometimes hear your own heartbeat, or the heart of the one next to you. The house settles down, shoulders slump, and it gives a big sigh. You hear no one's footfall in the hall. Drip in the kitchen sink marking time. Junebug on the window screen. He can't get in, but he keeps trying. One way or another, we're all in the dark. Fireflies, sparks, lightning, stars, campfires, the moon, headlights on cars, the northern lights, the Milky Way. Can't see that stuff in the day. When the earth turns its back on the sun, the stars all come out and the planets start to run around. Well, they call that day is done. But really it's just getting started. Some folks take comfort in that. How dark is it? It's too dark for goblins. How dark is it? It's so dark you can smell the moon. And how dark is it? It's so dark the wind gets lost. And how dark is it? It's so dark the sky's on fire. And how dark is it? It's so dark you could see Fort Worth from here. Okay, I got one more song for you. This one, when I started writing it, I thought I was writing a song about Vincent Van Gogh. There. Last song, I want to get it in tune anyway. Think about Vincent Van Gogh. When he was alive, nobody was interested in what he was painting. But he just kept doing it. You know, he couldn't stop somehow. He just kept creating all this amazing beauty and putting it out there in the world. And that inspired me. You know, it's not always a very rewarding thing, you know, writing songs and putting them out there in the world. And I was admiring Vincent for his perseverance. And by the time I got to the second verse, though, I realized I wasn't writing about him anymore. I was writing about all my songwriter pals who have strived along sometimes in just as much or more obscurity as Vincent did in his time, and in my estimation are just as brilliant as he is too, as he was. So this is for them, all them, and all you folks who make it possible for us to go out there in the world and do shows and bring our music to people. So thanks everybody for tuning in. I'll leave you with this. It's called No Choice. Wasn't love so big that it filled his heart, till it swelled and finally burst apart? When the love spilled out, they called it art. We never really had no choice. Oh, we had no choice. No, we never had no choice. When he gave his river a voice, we never really had no choice. He was thinking that the pain came much too soon when he locked himself up inside his room. Oh, it hurt real bad to write that tune. We never really had no choice. There were some who could not understand when he built those castles with his hands, and he knew damn well they were only sand. We never really had no choice. Oh, we had no choice. No, we never had no choice. When he gave his river a voice, he never really had no choice. Sometimes a man, sometimes a boy, he made some music and he made some noise, but he felt his pain and he felt his joy. He never really had no choice. There was a beautiful fire inside of him as he built and swung out on that limb, and it burned right through that branch so thin. We never really had no choice. Oh, we had no choice. No, we never had no choice. When he gave his river a voice, we never really had no choice. And they all talked about him when he died. They studied and they theorized, but when he was through, they laughed and cried. He never really had no choice. Wasn't love so big that it filled his heart, till it swelled and finally burst apart? When the love spilled out, they called it art. We never really had no choice. Oh, we had no choice. No, we never had no choice. When he gave his river a voice, never really had no choice. Oh, we had no choice. No, we never had no choice. When he gave his river a voice, never really had no choice. Oh, never really had no choice. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in. Even if you tuned in after the fact, I'm going to leave this up for a couple days. So if you missed it the first time, you got to see it now, whenever now is for you. But hope you're all enjoying the concert. I'll be in the meet and greet or whatever they're calling it later on this evening, and I look